Welcome to Hey Soul Sista, the podcast for women ready to embrace greater joy, freedom, and a soulful life. And if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to subscribe, follow, like, and share.
Hi.
Oh, Kaz Amos. Welcome back to Hey Soul Sista.
Mel Histon. It's good to be here.
It's always good to have you here, my friend.
Well, thank you. I really love being invited and sharing and chattering and yapping like the kids are all telling me I'm doing.
Do you know what? I love it too.
Good. For me, my intention to be here is to share stuff that is useful, that's not just knowledge, but practical things you can do in your life that'll change it or fix it or sort it or make it a little bit easier.
Yeah. So for me anyway, what's important to me is not being stuck with the same beliefs, the same thoughts that might be holding me back emotionally or where I want to be in my life, and actually learning, growing, and life becoming more joyful and more soulful all the time, being on that trajectory. And so I am a big believer, as you know, in doing the inner work, but also having these discussions about various topics of how we can live a more joyful life. So what we are talking about today is a topic that so many women and people, men experience this too, talk about, and that is people pleasing.
Yes, the introduction. Hi, I'm a people pleaser. What can I do for you? More or less. Yeah.
And you know what? If you see yourself as a people pleaser, the line starts at the left.
Yes. Wow. That's so true. Yes.
And people, when they talk about themselves in that way, oh, I'm a people pleaser, and sometimes people do introduce themselves in that way, they say it and feel it in such a negative way.
Like it's a bad badge to wear.
Yeah.
Like a shameful badge.
Like a shameful badge.
Yeah, maybe like one they can't take off.
Yeah.
You know, this is just who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about people pleasing. First of all, as a psychologist and wise woman of the world, soulful woman of the world, what is people pleasing?
Well, people pleasing is behavior that we use to either avoid conflict. It's behavior that we also believe will keep other people happy or satisfied or content. And that takes an awful lot of effort from the people pleaser trying to predict the behavior of everybody else around them. You know, if I do this, then someone else will be happy, and then that will come back and look good on me.
So really it's about us trying to please, putting other people's needs before ourselves.
Yes, it is putting other people's needs before ourselves, but it's also can stem from wanting to be seen as a good person, to wanting to be seen as doing enough, being enough. And it can come from a place not of, bad intention, but from a place of lack where I don't feel like I'm enough.
But I want other people to see me as that.
Yes, and I will do that by not interrupting or making sure that the flow of happiness is being almost facilitated by me doing all the right things.
Do you think it's more of a women's issue, people pleasing? Or do you think, or from your experience as a psychologist, do you think it's like an equal, like men experience people being people pleasing as much as women?
I thought about this because I work with couples too at times. So when I see this in couples, both people are, doing the same thing. They're both almost looking out for each other in a way that's unhealthy and trying to predict that if I do this, then my partner will be happy. So I see it from both genders there. I would also say that our culture says that women are more susceptible to this. You know, that it's our role to nurture and make sure that everybody's okay. Everyone's fed, everybody's sorted, and we often do that, as well as we can. But that is also a part of this people-pleasing nature and the expectation and roles of women to continue to do that.
So where do you think it comes from?
I think there's maybe three things pretty much come to mind. The first is our attachment style. So yes, using my psychology brain here, the early attachment that we have with our primary caregiver can be one of those motivators of and a place where we learn how to behave and how to be seen and heard. So attachment styles can be secure, they can be insecure, they can be avoidant, they can be anxious, or they can be a combination of any of those things. The best news I always tell people about attachment is that you can change it. So if you learnt how to be seen and heard that way, you can unlearn it and learn it to be a different way for you. The second place that I go to is traumatic experiences. They can absolutely shape the way that we behave in the world. And one of the behaviours that when we've experienced trauma, so we have our, our fight, flight, freeze, but fawn is also one of those responses. And fawning is the type of behaviour that you do to avoid a conflict. So I always think of, I don't know, remember what the movie is that Julia Roberts was in, maybe where it was a movie about abusive relationships. And
Sleeping with the Enemy?
Yes.
Yes.
And in that, for me, when I think about that, the worst case scenario of that fawning behaviour is when she's turning all the tins so the labels are facing exactly the same way. Gosh, even as I said that, I got a bit of goosebumpy because I was like, I watched that movie years and years ago, and yet I can still see that and think, wow, that's the length that that person is willing to go to in order to not create any discomfort in themselves or the other.
I remember that scene.
Oh, wasn't it powerful?
It was powerful, and it had creepy music playing.
It did.
Which just added to that.
No, do that. But to say that that's an extreme form of what fawning looks like, you bring it all the way back to having difficulty to have a hard conversation because you're trying to protect the feelings of the friend, the partner, the child, the parent. That can be a similar, more of a regular form of people pleasing, I guess.
Yeah. I know a couple of people who do that and they're aware that they do the fawning. It's really interesting. They're aware of it, and it's at those times of under stress, or they're with somebody and they're like, they're worried about how their reaction is going to be, they're worried they might be in trouble about something. So, you see them. And I'm stroking their chair as I say this, but that's what it's like. It's like I'm fawning of you. And interestingly, my sister Kate, who has the Real Life podcast, she talks about fawning a lot in the dance school space, but also she's somebody who she openly talks about herself, how growing up that was something that she would do because she was constantly hypervigilant. She experienced abuse at her dance school when she was growing up. So she was constantly hypervigilant and fawning over students and teachers or what have you, because it was like a survival thing for her.
Yep. So that trauma-informed lens around people pleasing, it absolutely can shape how we show up. The last one that I think is just that learned behaviour. And I don't know, you're in kindergarten, you get a gold star on the first day for writing your name really well. And that teaches you, oh, this is how I need to show up. And we're not trying to encourage bad behaviour in people, but we don't know that a young person in a school is not thinking, oh, this is what I need to do to be accepted. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to squash all my real feelings because for whatever reason, maybe I'm masking, or maybe I'm too scared, or I'm scared of the reaction of the other person, and I'll just do the right thing and I'll be the good girl. Such a good girl, And I think too that the gender question around that's the same for boys and girls.
Be a good boy.
Be a good boy. Yep. And, all of the social constructs that come with what it means to be a good girl and what it means to be a good boy. They're equally as powerful when it comes to pleasing behaviour.
And that's such a conditioning thing. Now, I'm talking about from the perspective of girls. Number one, because it's Hey Soul Sista. Number two, because I am a girl and reflecting on
your actually lived experience.
Yeah. Because, yes, we are really conditioned as girls when we're growing up to be the good girl.
I remember one time taking washing off the line, and my dad's boss, I don't know why they were there, anyway, said to me, oh, you'll make a really good wife one day. And I remember thinking in my head, if taking pegs and off the line and folding washing is making a good wife, I'm not down for it. I am out. I want to be a bad wife.
Yeah.
How that's just such a picture of what that conditioning looks like.
Is it bad or harmful to be saying to younger girls, be a good girl, you're a good girl. Are you being a good girl?
Do you think that there's other ways we could say it?
Yeah.
Like we could encourage behaviour by noticing what good qualities young people, children have.
The reason why I asked this question
Mm.
is because I observed myself the other day with one of our little precious granddaughters, and I observed myself saying that to her. Oh, you're a good girl. You're a good girl. And I was trying to reinforce some positive behaviour there. I think one of her brothers was maybe having a tantrum and she was being kind to him. So I was trying to reinforce that positive behaviour. But I saw myself saying that, and in my head I'm like, is that bad? Should I be? I was questioning myself, going, is that a bad thing to do, to be saying that? Oh, you're a good girl. Be a good girl.
Yeah. I think when we are encouraging little people, a great way to do the same thing is to notice exactly what it is that they're doing so well. Oh, I love the way you're so kind to your brother. Oh, wow, what a kind heart you have. That's so lovely. Oh, if I could be so kind, and you shared that so beautifully. Your words, oh, that's so amazing. You're such a good thinker. All of those kind of encouragements, and they're gender bias free.
Yeah.
We can just observe good behavior, and, I suppose child psychology tells us that when we encourage good behavior, that is the behavior that children want to do more. So to be a good girl is just like a broad, non-specific, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or to be a good boy, it's broad.
That's a really great tip, Kaz.
Is it? Yes.
I'm going to use that.
Kind of, in my mind, I see it almost as like looking at the inside of the little person and seeing what it is that's so great about them on the inside. Oh, your brain is so smart. Oh, you're so clever when you notice that, your brother fell over and you helped them up. Wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
Do you recall when you were young being called a good girl?
Yes.
Yeah. And what was that for?
Being quiet.
Wow.
Didn't get it very often because I was a bit naughty. I was a naughty girl.
Were you?
Such a naughty girl, yeah.
Like cheeky?
Oh, yeah. Defiant.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Kazi.
Well,
yeah.
Part of me, yes, always wanted to be the good girl, but I just never felt like I could sit down long enough or sit still long enough or be quiet long enough and not make jokes or not be fun. Like I couldn't stifle that stuff very well.
Yeah.
So I got in trouble. I always turned it into my advantage,
Yeah.
In year 5, I got moved. It was 3 terms and I got moved to 3 different spots in the classroom, and I just thought it was a great way to make friends.
There you go, Kazi.
I didn't see the harm.
Yeah. You can see how that whole people-pleasing and fawning develops and grows coming into an adult.
And how there doesn't seem to be anything wrong with it as such.
Yeah.
Because I think in a mild form, being good or being perceived as good does get you where you want to be.
Yeah.
It gets you, to be using your pleases and thank yous, which are nice manners. I remember parenting my kids and thinking, is this just a stitch up? Like, am I stitching them up if they don't say this thing to be servants? Is this what I'm doing?
Yeah.
But I also realize there's conventions which help us keep the peace in our world, and saying please and thank you is one of those things that we do. But the people who also say please and thank you are often treated quite nicely.
Yeah.
Because they're paying attention to being kind to others.
Yeah.
But in the extreme of that is that idea that I'm responsible for somebody else's mood or happiness or how they respond to me. That is beyond my control, but I'm still trying to control it. I think that's when people pleasing really becomes problematic. When you find yourself overthinking about what others are going to be thinking, saying, doing, acting, and then the idea that my behavior can control that, well, that's actually, truthfully, it's far, far, far out of our scope.
Yeah. I talk all the time about doing the inner work journey on and off over the years. So I'm not in therapy all the time, but, certainly over the years I have different therapy sessions. And one of them was with Charlotta, mindfulness expert, therapist, counselor. And I remember she was talking to me about hypervigilance. And that was like a light bulb moment for me. And she was talking about how, I had become hypervigilant to other people's moods. And so that's when you're on alert, right?
Yeah, well, so hypervigilance in the nervous system sits in the lower part of the brain, survival, with all the home of the Fs, the fight, flight, the freeze, the fawning, and all the other F bombs that we want to drop with it, because it sets off a response of threat. And then I get cortisol in my belly, stress hormones, I get adrenaline running through my veins, and I need to do something in order to avoid the threat or to survive. Yeah, so it's a very, very powerful motivator.
Which can look like if your boss walks in the room and you're really tuning into what's his mood like. He might be somebody who, what would you say? If you do happen to have a boss who might be easily angered or stressed or what have you. So it's like you're attuned to those moods, or it might be a parent, or it might be a friend.
Or a partner.
Or a partner.
Or a child, actually, even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can go into the people pleasing, because you're like, okay, I can sense that there's a stress here. There's something's going on. Okay, I need to go into this pleasing mode.
I need to find what it is to stop the discomfort, because it's me who can't handle the discomfort.
Yeah.
I think that the action of people pleasing relieves my discomfort. If I can keep you happy, then I'm going to be okay. But if I cannot cope with your emotional state because it dysregulates me, it disrupts me, puts me into a tizzy, fight, flight, freezy, then that my action is avoiding that. So to understand that hypervigilance and the role that played is that, that step along the pathway that says, okay, so what if I can't control how everybody else feels? I can be attuned to it, but do I need to behave in a way that fixes or resolves or something? Because the discomfort is in me.
So when does people pleasing start to impact people's confidence and self-esteem or self-worth?
Yeah, I think that idea that I can make somebody happy and that will shine nicely on me. I think that's to me feels a little bit like I'm hinging my value on somebody else's approval or somebody else's state, their mood.
And maybe they're starting to lose a sense of themselves and what makes them happy.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they're trying to make other people happy.
Yes, in behaving ways that are just not genuine.
Yeah.
Not true. So saying the right things. Or if I just say this, what can I do to help? What do you need? Run. Then, that takes away your time, for your energy, for whatever it is that you're doing. And the idea that will then look good on me, or that I can control the mood, or I can feel comfortable. Yeah, I think that the logic behind it feels really easy to follow. But when you notice yourself doing it, it's like, what am I doing?
And how
get
many
lost in it?
Yeah, and I would say, talking to some women that I know, that they actually get annoyed at themselves because that might show up like they'd say yes to things. Say yes to things that they don't really want to do, or go to places they don't really want to go because they're trying to keep the peace, or they're trying to make somebody happy. But in the meantime, they're getting really annoyed at themselves because I didn't really want to do this.
Yes.
But I said yes.
Yes, and I think that that's probably the most common way it shows up in how I feel about myself. Oh, damn, I did it again. Here I am again. Or I changed my plans around everybody else and then nobody showed up and I still missed out, or I've found myself depending on another person and they didn't show up for me like I show up for them.
Yeah. And the resentment festers.
Yes, that must mean something about me then.
Yeah, I've done that.
Me too. True confessions.
Yeah. We're keeping it real.
Yeah, what I also recognise too, like the patterns that we develop in our childhood that we develop in relationships with people, they sometimes go with us to the next relationship or the next workplace. And it's not until we see them that we're like, oh, now I see it. And
Yeah.
I don't have to do this anymore.
Yeah. And why is it that saying no can be hard?
Because we don't want to look bad, or we don't want to disappoint, or we don't want somebody else's mood to be changed or shifted because of something we've said or done.
Yeah.
I actually said that with a question mark on the end, but I think essentially we're trying to protect people in a way.
And ourselves.
Of course.
And our own ego, really.
Yes.
Our own ego.
Yes. And, I know we've mentioned Gabor Mate before, but that is the thing that he always comes back to in his compassionate inquiry, which is, if I learn to do that, and that's the way I was seen and heard, then can I unlearn that? Because is it still useful to me to be that way now? And it's potentially not useful at all. But it does mean learning how to have a hard conversation. It does mean learning how to sit with discomfort of another person and just be okay.
Yeah. So one of the things that I am loving about midlife, Kazi, we're both in midlife.
Yippee.
Yeah. One of the things I'm really loving about midlife is actually observing all these moments, witnessing ourselves and kind of going, look, I can see in this example I'm going to use, the people pleasing and being the good girl, I can see this pattern that I've established and that I've been doing and interacting with people in the first half of my life. And actually, I don't want that anymore. That's the joy of midlife, is having that time of self-reflection. And that's why we have these conversations, right? We're having these midlife conversations to go, hey, if you've actually found yourself caught in this cycle of playing the good girl and people pleasing, and it's not serving you, midlife is now the time.
It's your time.
It's your time,
Yes.
sister. This is your time
Yeah.
to actually go, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's even, I don't know, in your life, it's been showing up in my life in things like I'm not going to cook dinner on my work day.
Yeah.
It's a long day. I don't get home till a little bit later than everybody else. I'm not thinking about it and I don't want to do it anymore. And so I'm just not going to mention it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to organize it. And it's not out of disrespect to everybody in my family. However, my day is as my day is. And I cannot change that, no matter how unhappy anybody is, whether there's food or not food. And everybody's grown up now. They're all adults. They can make food and it's okay.
They're all grown up. They can fend for themselves.
Right. And I don't even care if it's a piece of cheese and some crackers. I am all good because I'm a grown up. I can sort my own food out too.
Yeah.
Great.
Love that.
But saying no and not showing up in the same way, I think that is the midlife thing you're talking about.
Yeah.
I have to show up differently now because actually I am different. And this life chapter that I'm in is a different place.
Yeah. And we've been talking about the midlife glow up. We've done a couple of episodes talking about the midlife glow up. And again, this is the time coming into the second half of our life where we've lived the first half of our life living to support, nurture, please, live up to the expectations of other people. Now it's our time.
Yeah. And it's okay to embrace that.
Absolutely. Which I know for some women, they struggle with that, with the guilt around that. Am I letting other people down if I start actually reprioritizing and going, how do I want to live now?
Yeah. I think too, like realizing that life has changed, that in itself is difficult to come to terms with because there's a lot of in midlife, who am I now? And, to go back at the very beginning when we're talking about gender roles, a lot of people around me are starting to think about retirement and they're starting to plan like not working or working less. And then the question becomes, who am I now? And, I made a plan for myself when I saw this coming, which was, go back to uni and do psych and do this role now. And part of my thinking was, well, if I've got 20 years of a career left, I'm going to go out with a bang and I'm going to follow that. But other people around me are starting to wind down and that's okay too.
Yeah.
Because after a period of time of doing all the things that you just mentioned, it is exhausting to do it in the same way in the future.
Yeah.
And you don't have to. You don't have to. You can change it. You can change a career. You can change where you live. You can change how you show up and cook dinner or not cook dinner.
Yeah.
It's open to choice.
Yeah. And also how you interact with other people. Yeah. So what does it actually look like, Kaz, to let go of the good girl and live more authentically?
If I were in a therapy session with somebody, I would almost take your current self with a visualization back to your good girl self and listen to a conversation that you might have with her, like the wisdom that your current self brings, and taking it to her in time and space, and do a visualization around that and what that looks like. Because I don't know about you, I think I would tell my little good girl self, even though she was a bit naughty, actually, I think I would just tell her to be yourself, listen to yourself, and it's okay to be you. Don't change who you are. You're a bit quirky, you're a bit naughty, you're a bit chatty. Don't change who you are, darling. You're wonderful and funny and weird and quirky, and that's okay. You're going to be all right.
Yeah.
You don't know this good girl, but you're going to be a psychologist when you're an old lady. That's great.
You're going to be changing people's lives.
Well, hopefully, but this is not all there is, and being good is not the only goal of your beautiful, precious life. What would you tell your little girl?
I was a highly anxious child, very hypervigilant to the girls in the class and people around me. If I had the opportunity to go and talk to her, my little self, it would be really to instill in her that real self-worth and confidence that actually you're great. You're a really good person. You're great. And stop to consider, and this probably sounds a little bit adultish, but it's like, consider who you are, what you truly want for yourself and your heart and for your life. And it's okay to do that.
Mm.
And when I say to that little girl, you're great, I don't mean that in an egoic way. I mean that you've got this as much as anybody else does. So don't think that you're less than. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's pretty precious.
Yeah. Because it's taken me 50 years to figure that out, right? It's taken me 50 years to figure that out.
Yeah.
And I wish I had have known that.
Yeah. And it can be very healing to do that for ourselves.
Yeah.
And invite that little girl right to where you are now who, steps into this seat, into this part of your life and goes, oh, she was right.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Yeah. And those people that maybe you meet along the way through your life that are kind of assholes, let's call it. Do you know what? Just stay away, do your thing and be you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay with the people, hang with the people that have got the good hearts.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things about when you do step into, instead of people pleasing you, then that opens the door to all these other beautiful relationships where people also do that for themselves.
Yeah.
You find yourself around people who can take care of themselves, that you are not responsible for their emotional state. They can handle it.
Oh my God, that's been a big freaking life lesson for me.
Wow.
Like seriously, I'm not responsible for other people's emotional states.
Yeah, I know.
My God.
I have a memory of me reversing out of my driveway, saying that to myself, I'm not responsible for your happiness. I'm not responsible for your happiness. I'm not responsible for your happiness. Because it was like blindingly obvious to me that that's what I had believed up until that moment. I'm responsible for your happiness and I must do all these things. Actually, no, I'm not. That's your task and I get to look after mine.
Because that's what some people lead us to believe, that we are responsible for someone else's emotional state. And that's when they start to blame you for how they're feeling. Yeah.
We're not having this conversation about pleasing for nothing then, are we? Because we're all realising our own little club here.
I know, I'm sitting here and like going, oh, it's all coming up. Oh, my God.
And yet at the same time, you've opened the door, though, to people who have walked in who have been really good people who can take care of themselves.
Yeah.
That is the learning and the gift of the learning.
Yeah.
Mm.
So on the flip side of this is living authentically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We both said that we would say to our little self, be yourself. You know, it's okay to be you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's our true nature.
Yeah. Who are we? What do we believe in? What do we value? And then living aligned with that, because that actually feels good, right?
It literally feels good. Like you do a little somatic practice. Does that feel good in my head, my chest, my belly? Yes. Yeah, that's how it feels.
Yeah.
You don't have any of that pulling back.
Yeah.
I think that can be part of the sticky point when you decide to not do the people-pleasing stuff, because it can feel very uncomfortable to begin with.
Saying no.
Saying no.
Having boundaries.
And so getting accustomed to that feeling of what it feels like to sit in the how you feel that's right, not how somebody else feels that's right.
Yeah.
That there can be the unwinding of that, I suppose, the fabric of what it means to be pleasing and to others and not to self.
So, Kazi, what are some practical steps that people can take if they kind of recognize, hey, do you know what? I'm playing the good girl and people pleasing, and actually it's not serving me. It's not serving my heart and my soul. What are some practical steps that those people can take?
You just even saying that they might notice it in this way is the first step, noticing it. And you might notice the places that you do it, because you might not be a 100% everywhere people pleaser, but you might find that you can be one version of you at work and another version of you in your relationship, for instance. And so noticing the difference of the dynamics of what other people's behavior brings out in you. And so noticing it, noticing your own behavior, being open to seeing your patterns.
Are you shrinking at all?
Yes, great question.
Are you shrinking? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because sometimes we can be around somebody who's quite dominant and you can kind of feel yourself shrinking again, shrinking back a bit. And you're like, hang on. And recognizing that and changing that, going, nah, this is not me being authentic right now.
Yes. And well, that's another part of, how to undo this is what does it feel like? What do I notice and hear within myself that is really me, as opposed to what I think other people might be thinking or what I ought to be doing. And if we stop long enough, we can hear our own talk. We can hear our own comments. And if that comment is like, oh, I really don't want to do this, then listen to that. Start paying attention to that. And then when you do that, then start paying attention to the next part. What do I really want to do? How do I really feel about this? If I was invited to something and I didn't really want to go, how am I going to say no in a way that feels in line with my values? Maybe that's it too. Changing your value system, because if you value other people's opinion of you and that's your value, that might be worthwhile shifting back to yourself. If I value myself first, now then what do I do?
Rather than what are other people going to think?
Yes, because to be honest, you have no idea and you cannot control it.
I just had a memory then of being a little girl and we were sitting around the dining table and my parents would be like, what would the Jacksons think? The Jacksons were the next door neighbours. What would the Jacksons think? Look, usually it was about eating with our mouths open.
Or elbows on the table, or what would Jesus do?
Yeah.
But that's a question too. Like, these are all comparisons, right? I think a big part of people pleasing is comparison. So if I'm noticing myself comparing myself to others, then maybe I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe I can stop that and just be myself.
Yeah.
And it's okay to waver.
Do you feel like you live in alignment?
Mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say mostly. And I feel like the more that I do it, the easier it is. Like the easier my life is, actually.
Yeah.
Because I spend probably less time telling stories to myself like trying to make the telemarketer happy, for instance. It's because it's a lot of energy, and it can be very depleting of ourselves to give that energy away.
But it feels good, right?
Oh, it totally feels good. Yeah.
What would you say to women that worry that if they stop people pleasing, that they'll be viewed as selfish?
When I think about the word selfish, I think, well, self and a little bit more. That's how I justify what self, because it does mean that essentially that I'm allowed to focus on myself.
Yeah.
And if people view you as selfish, that is not your thought. That is somebody else's thought, and you had no control over that in the first place.
Yeah.
So you may want to be willing to let that go.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Kazi, I love that you've come in today to have this conversation, because it is, again, I said this at the beginning, it is a topic, an issue that I hear so many people talk about and refer to themselves as, I'm a people pleaser, but they don't say it in a good way. It's as though it's something they want to change in themselves. And I guess the point is that we can.
Yeah. My go-to, I have a book on the shelf, Untamed by Glennon Doyle, which is Stop People Pleasing in a nutshell. And there's a line in that book, and I would, leave this with everybody, and I'm going to ruin it by not quoting it, but it is that I wish every decision you make is from you and for you, because you're a good thinker and you make amazing decisions because you have great ideas.
I love that.
Yeah. And can we trust in ourselves when we do that? I think so.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Now, how can people find you?
Oh, kazamos.com.au, or practicing at the Hummingbird Centre in Newcastle.
People can book in and have a wonderful session with you.
Yeah, they can. Or they can go to their GP and get their mental health care plan sorted, and they can come for 6 to 10 sessions.
Thank you so much, my dear friend.
Thank you kindly.
Hey.